Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Well, I just want to welcome everyone today. We're here again with the Healing Generations podcast, and this is hosted by the Comadres National Network. And we are so grateful. We are so grateful that you have chosen to join us today. And every time we have the pleasure to sit down and to share, another maestra story and wisdom and consejos, enseñanzas, it's always a blessing. It's always a blessing to share on that level. Because if there's one thing that we know for sure, is that there will be something said or that you hear today that will bring light, will bring healing, aliento, motivación, to your life. And so we're so grateful to be able to come in this way, right? Via the internet, via online services through this podcast. And so again, I just want to thank you. This is Maestra Deborah Camarillo coming to you from the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, Maestra Susie, how are you doing today?
Very good, comadre. I know you're in the Bay and it's a little cooler over there, but I'm over here in the Los Angeles area and it's about 88 right now. So, but it's a beautiful warmth. It's always nice to be blessed with Tata Sol up there, just giving us that energy that we need and to keep us motivated and just reminding us, as it comes up every day that we have a new beginning.
Yes.
Another day to choose again and to go forward.
Yeah. And we're excited today, right, Maestra, to have on with us Maestra Laura Castro coming to us from Los Banos in California. And so I'm excited about this show. And so let's share a little bit about her.
Sure. I am just overwhelmed with joy. I just, you always amaze me, Maestra Laura. I've known you for many years. You're very dear to my heart, you and your husband, Roberto. And I've seen you just do some amazing work in the community with young girls and women, always extending yourself in any way that you can. Just so gracious and so generous with your wisdom, with your knowledge, and sharing your experience and your story. I know you're co-director of Danza Itzcali in Santa Clara County. Been doing that for many, many years. You've also worked for many years as a mentor for mujeres and the women in our communities. You're a healing circle facilitator. You've been involved in social activism for over 40 years, a mother in the movement, created a lot of movement through your prayers and motion as well. Also, the proud mother of 6 adult children, grandmother to 15 beautiful grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Just so amazing. And it just it's another confirmation of your devotion to Creator and doing this work and passing on the traditions from our ancestors. You have all that under your belt that you have to take care of, all that responsibility, but you're even still here with us, extending yourself even more. So God bless you for that. And I'm just so honored and grateful for all the support that you've continued to give the National Compadres Network, the Comadres Network. You've always have extended yourself anytime we've ever asked for your support in working with mujeres and young girls in our community. So we're very grateful. I'm very honored to be here in your presence. It's always an honor to be in your presence. And I'd just like to give you a chance to introduce yourself, maybe share a little bit about your background, your journey, and how you've been able to get to this point in your life through your words. Maestra Laura, por favor.
Tlazokamati, gracias. And no yo lo veo papani, yo see what seen Mexica. What that means is that my heart is happy to see you, guerreras mexicas. It's honorable, guerreras mexicas, actually. And so, muchas gracias por invitarme a platicar hoy con las mujeres, to invite me to speak to the women and to whoever else is on listening. Well, I grew up in San Jose, East Side San Jose. My parents, they were farm workers, ¿verdad? But we lived on a ranch where we did most of the work. We did pick the prunes, apricots, walnuts, and all that stuff. Growing up, there were 8 of us children, and I'm the 6th one of the 8. And so we did a lot of that work, because San Jose was the prune capital, ¿verdad? And so we did a lot of that work there, just working all the time. And I remember working from when I was like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 years old, where they would get these little tiny buckets, and they were like the paint buckets, the small ones, ¿verdad? And they just have us fill them up. Even as little children, we'd be filling them up, and it would be fun to us to do this kind of work. And so then we dump them into the bigger buckets. I also went to high school there, junior high school in San Jose, and where I met my husband at Silver Creek High School. We were in the 10th grade when I met him, and we've been together ever since. So it's been like 47 years now.
Wow.
Well, I have 4 daughters and 2 sons. And as you mentioned, I have the 15 grandchildren and the 3 great-grandchildren. I'm very happy. And my journey actually began as, working, ¿verdad? And working hard. My father actually was funny that he was that mentor in that trabajos thing. He never treated us like we were girls, because he was a mechanic and he taught us how to change our oil, change our tires, wash the motors when he was going to put them in. And, he actually had us working, and so basically he wanted us to take care of ourselves, if something happened. And so when I got married, it was the same thing, my husband was the same way. We worked together painting. We worked together in the field. We worked together in marchas. We raised our children in the cultura, ¿verdad? We started dancing, danza azteca, when I was 30 years old when I found danza azteca. But before that, we were in college. We were in the movement, doing like I said, the marchas and the boycotts and the traveling here and traveling there. We did a lot of stuff with the Native American communities when we were marchando to free Leonard Peltier, to keep DQU open. We marched from DQU to Sacramento back in the 80s, way back then. And, everything was, it just seemed like the thing to do, ¿verdad? We never questioned anything that we did. And neither did my kids. They just followed. They just went with us. They didn't, But later on, I felt like I cheated them out of going to like a lot of the amusement parks, say like Disneyland and, all those places, because I think I took them one time there and that was it. They did travel a lot to reservations, where they met so many people, so many ceremonies. So that's where my journey began, ¿verdad? In the ceremonial way.
Thank you for sharing that. And, I was thinking as you were speaking about the journey. It's really a story, right? It's a story of a lot of our experiences as indigenous people, as Mexicanos, as Latinos that have come, really worked the land, in the field, understand that, and also somehow have made a way, right, in this new way of being, finding their way, I should say, right? Because I really identify my dad's from Texas. I know what the cotton fields are like and about, but it was a family thing. It's like you said, you know, it was fun at 3 years old. I don't know how fun it is at 16, but but at three, you know, and it's just kind of this way of being, right? You
Mhm.
knew that there was a contribution that you needed to do as far as family, as far as community. And sometimes I think that for the youth today, there's that essence of loss there because they don't know their contributions and because they don't know their lugar as far as within the community and within the family, right?
Mhm.
And then you said that you were then introduced to danza at 30, and so that has also you know, perfumed your life in another way, right? And so I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit more about that and the influence, let's say, that that has taken or had on you, and how that influences our youth today. You know, because this is all about healing generations, right? How do we really pass that forward? How does our life mirror maybe something that is not being reflected within the community or, you know, within TikTok or whatever the new movements are today? Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure, I can. No, when I first started danza, say it was 34 years ago. I'm 64 now and I'm still dancing. I love dancing. I mean, that's always been my heart, ¿verdad?
Mm,
Aside from my children and my husband, you know, and they also are still in danza. I can honestly say that our cultura actually did heal us. We were, as you know, youngsters in our early 20s, early 20s, we were on the wrong path. We were drinking, you know, even doing drugs, ¿verdad? And not having really a direction, a foundation. So when we found danza, it gave us that direction. It gave us a new life, a new way of being. We left drinking behind, we left drugs behind, but then along with leaving all that behind, you leave family behind, like brothers and sisters, mom or dad,
mm,
because they're not involved in danza. Even though you're trying to pull them into danza, you're trying to bring them into the cultura, you're trying to get them all involved, and yet they're not interested because they think that it's eso es de los indios, you know, eso
mm,
no es para nosotros, because they're lost, you know. They're lost and they haven't found their way and they didn't find their way, you know, even as much as we tried and tried to give them something, ¿verdad? To my nieces and my nephews. But I really feel that the danza and our native ways has healed us because it took us to ceremonies. It took us to, you know, to places that we had never seen before, people we had never, you know, imagined seeing, ¿verdad? Traveling to Nuevo Mexico to dance with the Zunis, you know, or South Dakota to participate in ceremonies out there, you know, with brothers and sisters out there, or even to Nevada with the Paiutes, you know. It's been a good journey because of the healing that it gave to all of us. You know, my granddaughter, the other day, she had asked me to run a sweat for her, to pour water for her. And she just wanted it to be family. And at the sweat, she told me, Grandma, I am so happy that you and Grandpa showed us this way. Because if you had not gone this way, I don't know where I would have been, you know. So my grandchildren have found their healing through this way, you know, through the ceremonies. Um, and it's funny that all of my daughters are still involved in some type of ceremony, indigenous ceremonies. ¿Verdad? My sons, you know, they went, you know, off to be mechanics, or, you know, both of them are mechanics. ¿Verdad? But so they know about ceremony and they ask me about ceremony, or they you know, how's the ceremonies going? How was Shilonen, or how was this, or how was that? But they're not involved as I wish they would be, ¿verdad? But my daughters are all involved, and they've taught their children, you know, and now teaching their grandchildren. So it's ceremony and finding your cultura is very important. You know, lots of kids, whenever they see us dancing or whenever they see me doing a ceremony, lighting my samador or blessing them up, it pleases them. I mean, they love it. They remember. It sparks something in their mind. They said, "Oh, my grandma used to do this, or my grandpa did that, or, I remember back in Mexico, something like this happened, And so they try to share whatever memory they have that connects them to their cultura or to the Salvador or to the water. Those things are very important, that they're healing for them, ¿verdad? There's that connection that gives them brings them back to that self-esteem that they once, generations ago, they had, ¿verdad? And then through generations, they started to lose it, but they feel it still.
Yeah.
They feel it. Even a young man the other day, I was doing I was showing them how to make a tlamanali, an altar on the ground, ¿verdad? And I had them all participate. And the young man that I asked to pray over the water, he said, when I asked him to speak about how he felt, he said, my heart was racing when I had the water to my chest. I felt that connection of that water to me, And this is what we need to give our kids, is that connection that will give them that strength again, to find that their roots are strong.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. If I had to sum up in a few words how you work, Maestra, you said it. I've seen you in many different realms and different situations of teaching, and it seems to be very core to you to connect our mujeres, our men, and our children to their roots. It's like at the forefront always, getting them connected to their roots, getting them connected to themselves, whether it be through music, through danza, through sweat lodge, through advocacy, whatever that is. You always have been that espejo, that mirror to help people remember who they are. I know growing up as you did, there were many, many challenges, a lot of hard-earned wisdom. When you mention about your family and how hard it was as you continued on your spiritual growth and development, how hard it is when we want to bring all our family with us and maybe they're not at that point yet. They're not ready to take that step. There's still lessons that they need to learn. And I say that because I've had the experience personally myself. And it's always been hard for me because it's like you just want them to get like just follow me. just do
Right.
do this, and I'm trying to help you, and it's all with the best intentions and from your heart, and it doesn't always work out that way. I'm wondering if you could share for others that are listening that might be in that same situation, especially with their own familia and children, which seem to be the hardest and most difficult sometimes when we're talking about healing work. What are those teachings or those lessons that you feel helped you not to stay stuck there and go forward?
What called to me was that I didn't want my kids to end up like so many other kids that I knew growing up. I wanted my kids to have what was theirs, ¿verdad? Their herencia, their what belonged to them, ¿verdad? What was taken away from all of us, so many hundreds of years ago, was taken away and was, destroyed or burned or they were chopping off hands and burning feet and doing so much. And then I remember too, when I was a little girl in school, and they would tell me, you can't speak Spanish here. That was my first language because my mom spoke only Spanish. My father, he was born in Oxnard, so he spoke English, but my mom only spoke Spanish. And so my first language, and they would forbid us to speak Spanish in school. We were in trouble. Oh, you went to the principal, and I've heard of kids getting spanked for speaking Spanish in school. And so they tried to take that away from us, even though it's also a language that doesn't belong to us. It's still, that's how we communicated We communicated with our mothers, our grandmothers, and it was something I didn't want my children to ever know or ever feel. I wanted them to know. They all speak Spanish now. They all speak to their kids in Spanish. They sing the songs. We listen to the music. We do everything, and now we're studying our to learn Nahuatl, and to sing the songs in Nahuatl and share with all kids, because this is not just ours. It belongs to everyone. It's not my secret to keep. It's my gift to give, ¿verdad? It's my gift to give. If I learn it, then they'll learn it. If I get something, I want them to have it too, because it's como comida. You don't ever withhold comida from children, ¿verdad? You give it to them freely hasta que se llenen, ¿verdad? And so that's the way I feel about our cultura. It's a food for them to eat and to share and to enjoy. This is not something that I know that Creator didn't give this to me so that I can just keep it.
Yes.
No hoarding here.
Right.
I want to share. Yeah. And I shared it with my children, my grandchildren, and with so many other children, and it's just something that we have to give, ¿verdad? Just like when we make trajes, and I learned how to make trajes very early in danza, and my daughters learned how to make trajes, and so now we're making trajes for other kids. My daughter's busy today making trajes for 2 kids from LA. She's going to be madrinas for them. It's just us knowing what our job is, and our job is to be those people to help. We're not rolling in dough, and I've never done this for money. This is not, this is something that, como la medicina nunca se compra o se vende, it's always, you always pick it and you always share it. That's the way I feel about this medicina too.
You shared a little bit, Maestra, about being involved in ceremonies and the different ceremonies. And because this is being hosted by the comadres and really targeted at women, could you share a little bit for those that don't know about the Chilones ceremony? Can you share a little bit about that so that others can be exposed to that?
Sure. Well, the Shilonen ceremony is for young women, young girls from the age of, 12 to 18. Let's just say that. Sometimes, it depends on the leader of that, how old, where the cutoff point is, ¿verdad? Pero usually it's from 12 to 18, and it's a rites of passage ceremony for young girls, similar to a quinceañera, but without all the frill, ¿verdad? Without all the expense. We're not paying for limos or big dresses or anything like that. It's so basic, but you're honoring them, honoring the young ladies and presenting them to the community and doing a ceremony just for them, special for them, ¿verdad? They have their madrinas and their padrinos, and they're taken around the circle, first to the children's altar where they leave a doll, and they're getting consejos. And then they go to the women's altar where they're being received as young women, ¿verdad? Porque ya no son chiquitas, ahora son señoritas, ¿verdad? And so as a señorita, you have a responsibility, not just to yourself, but to your community, and to share, ¿verdad? And to learn. From then on, you're going to be learning. You do learn when you're a little girl, but are not the things you're going to learn, that the abuelitas are going to teach you. After that altar, we go to the elders, and the elders talk to the girls about what it is to be an elder, what it is that path that they went on, that they took, that journey, ¿verdad? And they're speaking to maybe 15 girls at one point, Sometimes it's less, sometimes it could be more, but they're speaking to them and they're given, those consejos and those wise words, ¿verdad? Hasta canciones también, ¿verdad? After that ceremony, se los llevan a los hombres, where the warriors speak to the women and tell them how they're always going to respect them. They're always going to be there for them. They're their tíos. They're their grandpas. They're their brothers. They're their fathers. They're men de honor, hablándoles a las mujeres de honor, And so this ceremony is an old ceremony, ¿verdad? And it was brought back about, my daughter was one of the first Shilonen. If not, there was maybe 2 years before her that had started. Pero she was one of the first Shilonen, and she still remembers that. And every single one of my daughters and almost all of my granddaughters have been a Shilonen. And I can't wait till my great-granddaughters are Shilonens. It's just something special, something that we need to do for our children, our girls, to be honored in that way, and so that they learn. If they don't know they're sacred already, they learn their sacredness, because all human beings are sacred, as we say, ¿verdad? And so they see it that day, how special they are.
Beautiful. I just feel so grateful that you're so devoted and so willing of keeping this tradition alive. I know a lot of the young girls that we work with, like you said, they don't know that they're sacred. They don't feel hope that they have a sacred purpose or that they have anything to look forward to. They're just so much in, a lot of people say post-traumatic stress disorder, but really it's like other people will say, no, it's present stress disorder, just trying to get through the day, trying to survive in any way that they can with all the issues that they're facing. I just know, like you said, it's a ceremonia that they will remember for the rest of their life, and hopefully it'll be the seeds that are planted on that day will continue to grow and be cultivated, so that when they are in those situations where they doubt who they are or why they're here, or lose that hope, that fire inside of them, because of the things that they're facing, I'm hoping that all the things that go on in that ceremonia will give them the strength that they need to continue to rise and continue to grow, just as it has for you.
Thank you.
Yes, beautiful. God bless you for that.
Yeah, I wanted just to mention that a group of us from my group volunteered for juvenile hall. We volunteered for a couple of years there. And so we'd go in every week, and we decided to have a Shilonen in there.
Wow.
So all the girls from our group that were in there in juvenile hall participated. They allowed us to take them out into the yard and do a Shilonen for them. It was the nicest Shilonen I can say, because the girls had never seen anything like it, had never been part of anything like it, and they felt like they were being special, or they were being honored, and they were. They took their t-shirts that they have, and they allowed them to have paint, and we helped them to choose designs and things like that. And they painted those t-shirts with flores, with diseños, different designs, different Mexica designs. And they wore them. Those were their Shilonen regalia that day, So they really felt that love, and that care, that, that specialness that they needed to feel, because I feel like sometimes when we do our Shilonen ceremony, there's only those special girls that are being picked, those girls that are doing good, or those girls that are, in a danza family or something like that. But when you do it for people that aren't in danza, that aren't, that don't have that connection with other danzantes, and you do it for them, then it's even better.
Absolutely. So what a beautiful example of what we're talking about here, healing generations. We all need that first teaching of acknowledgement. And I'm sure when you did that for a lot of those girls, that was the first time they had really felt seen, and acknowledged with so much love. Beautiful.
And like you said, and I love that because you started out by saying it's about sharing.
Mhm.
It's about we're not trying to hoard here. This is about sharing those
Mm-hmm.
enseñanzas, right? Sharing the cultura, because so many haven't had the opportunity to get plugged in. And what
Mhm.
a beautiful way to be able to just expose somebody to their inheritance that they have no idea that
Mhm.
they have coming, that legacy, right?
Right.
Like you're sharing about these young women, right? And the power of that. And the other part that I was thinking about, and because it is a coming of age ceremony, then actually the marking of this transition. So you're going from a young woman or a girl into a young woman that then will be an adult woman and a mother and abuelita, an elder as it continues to go. And I think sometimes that because we have a lack of those markers, right? We don't know that we need a transition. And so we see a lot of people that are 40 and 50, but yet they're carrying on as adolescents
Mm-hmm.
because they haven't made the transition, you know? And I think that that was one of the things that our culture was able to understood the wisdom in that, right? Understood the
Mhm.
wisdom that it's important to mark things. It's important to celebrate. It's important to say, I'm transitioning from here to here. And so what I did here is not going to change to responsibilities different in this kind of way.
Mhm.
But when you don't know, it can be very, very confusing. And
Right.
so, yes. And so I was just, I agree with that point wholeheartedly. The exposure to share.
Mhm.
And sometimes that might be the only place where they get to hear, right? Something different or exposed to things they've never heard before.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm wondering, in your own opinion, Maestra Laura, that's a very powerful teaching right there. And but the girls that you're working with today, I know they're faced with so many issues: the social media thing, the bullying, so many other uh, challenges that they have to try to navigate. What is it that you see in your community with the mujeres that you're working with that you feel that they're struggling with, that you try to help transform?
You know, just recently, the family asked us to come and speak to a large family, and this family was they did have a good spiritual background, but a lot of the girls there are committing suicide.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a lot of things that they face is that they're not able to speak to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a voice right now
mm,
to be able to share their pain,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many issues going on, and I can't even judge the people in the community, because there's so many communities exactly like that, verdad?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, with maybe their economy, or environment, or lack of resources. You know, there's so many things that are hurting our youngsters.
Mm-hmm.
That it I guess they feel like there's no other recourse for them,
mm,
verdad? And that's in a lot of our communities. And I
yeah.
spoke one time to a school, and after speaking at the school, this young LGBTQ person came up to me, and she said, I was going to commit suicide today, but because I heard you and what you had to
Mm,
say,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to die.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, overwhelmed by her words, because I
Mm-hmm.
had never heard, and no one had ever said that to me like that.
mm,
And I felt like I needed to hug her, so, for a long time, and cry with her, because
Absolutely.
as a mother and a grandmother, a tia,
Mm-hmm.
um, I couldn't imagine the pain in one of my relatives like that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that they would feel like that, you know, they would have that choice, you know. And so I feel like we need to start listening.
Absolutely.
We need to
Mm-hmm.
listen and
Mm-hmm.
really listen and feel and not and I don't want to say the word judge anymore because I feel like we're not trying to judge anybody, but to really pay attention to them and their needs.
Mm-hmm.
And just I started out our conversation today with my heart is happy to see you, because it is happy to see you. And that's the way I wish that we would speak to them,
Mm-hmm.
to say
Mm-hmm.
that my heart is happy to see you today, tomorrow, and the next day, ¿verdad? And I
Yes.
want, my ears want to hear what you have to say. My eyes want to see you, ¿verdad? You know, we have to be sensitive to the needs, and we have to educate the parents. Educate the parents, you know, to not be so, sometimes very harsh. They're so busy que no hay cariño, que no comen they don't eat at the table anymore, you know, sit together and talk,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Those that do, you know, are blessed, you know, to hear their children say, this is what happened today.
Yeah.
This is what I went through today, you know, and that when they get up in the morning, they get up to abrazos, not to yells, you know, not to somebody scolding them,
Right.
you know. And those are the things that, you know, we have to start from when they're really little and raising them like that. The ones that are already big right now, we have a lot of work to do.
Yes. You know, which makes me think of, you know, we say la cultura cura a lot, right? We say that.
Hmm.
Culture cures or heals. How do you see that, maestra? How do you see la cultura curando, let's say, and where you're at, or the things that you do, or the things that you share? How do you see that happening, and how do you infuse that in what you do?
How do I see it happening is that, like I said before, I share all this stuff, you know, wherever I'm called to, I will take my samador, I'll take my agua, I'll take my medicina, and I will take my songs, my hand drum, y todo eso, and share. Sometimes something will strike them, and they'll love it, you know. And I feel like the kids really, the cultura, I can't stress it enough. It's not just the danza. It's those ancient ways that we need to bring back, you know. The way we treat each other, you know, the way we talk to each other, how we greet you, how we say goodbye to you, how we say goodnight to you. If we start to talk to the kids with love, con
Mm-hmm.
cariño, con amor, these are all the ancient ways of speaking to our, you know, family. When I go to Mexico and sometimes I hear, you know, like in my comadre's family, when they're talking to their kids, ¿qué quieres, cariño? ¿Qué te pasó? Oh, ven, yo te lo beso. You know, but they're saying con mucho cariño because they love them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, y no les están gritando, les están diciendo con mucho amor. You know, ay, ven para acá, mi hermosa, or mi amor, or mi pajarito, ven para acá. You know, it's just love. And that's what our community needs now is love. We have too many things out there that are against us.
Mm-hmm.
Too many
Mm-hmm.
things. You know, it saddens me that our cultura kills each other. You know, we kill each other instead of getting together because we are a force. We are a big force. We are a giant, pero no estamos unidos. Estamos separados.
Yeah.
And if we can unite this force, you know, tienen miedo. They're scared that we will do that someday, you know, and that's why they keep feeding our communities with drugs and with rumors and with hate. And they're telling them this and they're telling them that'll tear us apart. But if we got together, you know, our kids would know that they are loved. We got together, our kids would know that we care about them, that their education means something, that they mean something. You know, there's so many things, that I think about all the time about our kids, and I always tell the kids that they mean a lot to me. They're special to me, especially the ones that right now in high school, in college and stuff, is because my grandkids, some of them are really little, and I want them to have good leaders. I want
Mm-hmm.
them to have people who care about them.
Mm.
And if I can care about somebody else's kid and I can teach them a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
then they can be that person to lead my kids, my grandkids someday. I want them to have good leaders, con buen corazones.
Mm.
Powerful.
Powerful.
Well, I wish every community had a Laura Castro.
Right?
It would be
Yes.
so much
Yes.
better. I agree with everything you said, and especially when it comes to love, siempre, siempre. It was an element that saved me. It was an element that my mom always gave to me that was really kept me going forward. All the seeds she planted me inside of me with her love. A lot of people ask me, they're like, "Oh, your daughters are so beautiful. You have such a good relationship with them. How did you do that?" And of course, there's no how to be the best mom. You just, learn as you go along. And I couldn't answer that because I don't know what that is. I was just going day by day doing, what I thought was right with what I had and with what I
Mm.
knew. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to ask them that question. What is it that helped you to keep going and do what you needed to do? And that was one of the things they said. They both agreed. It was like, Mom, you just gave us that love, and we go to all our friends' houses, and their mothers are so militant. They talk to
Mm.
them so militant and so strict and so harsh,
Mm.
and it instills fear. And so I agree with you that love and of course what we're always advocating for is safe spaces,
Mm-hmm.
safe spaces so that these women and mujeres and young girls can come to know they
Yeah.
have a safe place
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. And of course, we always want it to be within our own familias, but like you said, our own familias are wounded too. And as much as they want to give us that, they don't know how. But just seeing by your example and what you do is so beautiful. And I hope we can take this wisdom and these lessons and just let it be known that this is what our children need at this time in their
Mm.
lives. And we as the elders are the ones that need to help provide that for them. Those foundational teachings, those rites of passage, those ceremonias, traditions, everything that you're doing. I just would love to see it in every community across the world.
As you spoke about connections, or with mothers and daughters connection, is my whole life is surrounded around my kids, ¿verdad? And so much that I don't have a lot of outside friends, ¿verdad? I don't call up my friends from when I was a kid or anything like that, ¿verdad? I call my daughters every day. I see my daughters every single day, if they're in town.
Mm-hmm.
My daughters, we all go to the gym together every morning, 7:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. We're at the gym together. The ones that don't go, I have make sure I call them up and make sure that they know I love them. My sons, we don't talk as much as we should porque trabajan todo el tiempo. One lives in Wichita, the other one lives here, so maybe every other week.
Mm-hmm.
Pero my daughters, it's something like we have to talk every day. And I see my granddaughters, I'll send them a message. I love you, mija. How are you doing? Even those little messages that we send to each other, it's special because they know, oh, grandma's thinking about me today, or grandpa, love you, and you're so special to me. I'm proud of you. Just telling them those little things, reminds them that somebody loves them. and that they're not alone in this world. They're not alone. Today you're not alone. Tomorrow you're not going to be alone. I'm here with you, ¿verdad? And I want to do this. I want to build their memories and their everything, because someday I'm not going to be here. Someday they'll be, with each other. And I want them to have that strong foundation. I want them to know that what I started, they need to continue. ¿Verdad? Because, we only have each other. Y es todo.
Yeah.
And so you start to make that foundation strong right now, it's going to continue. I remember when my father passed away, we used to go see him every Sunday. Estábamos en su casa. Y cuando él murió, when he passed away, it was like an explosion happened and everybody went on their own directions, ¿verdad? They all scattered to their own houses, their own direction. And I didn't want that to happen with my kids. I want them to always love each other and always be that wolf pack that always stands together. They hunt together, they live together,
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think that's it, right? When we say connection. I know when
Relationships.
I know I cross paths with a lot of young people. And if that's one thing that they say, right? I don't feel connected. Or they come to where you're at, to those centers or whatever, because they feel they have tienes un lugar, but they feel connected. And the importance of that connection, right? Intentionally going about that, right? Keeping that connection, communication. I'm just, I'm wondering. So you've been through many, many experiences on this road. I thank you for your honesty and sharing that the journey hasn't always been, smelling like perfume and roses, right? Yeah. And so, looking back, right? Looking back at those times, how did you sustain yourself in those times, or, those difficult, challenging, and maybe with your children, or maybe with life, or what were those things that helped you move through those times and not just give up?
When I was a little kid, when I was 8 years old, my parents got divorced, right? And my mom, she went her way, and we stayed with my father. My father raised us. There was six of us left at home when my mom left. And so he was very strong in family. He was he was just there. He was the diaper changer, the bottle maker, the tortilla maker, all those things. He was that person, the one that took us to the laundromat to wash all our clothes. He was that person. One day, he packed up a suitcase, and we were all outside and at the ranch, and it was my brothers, my sisters, my little sister, my little brother también. And he got into the car. He kissed us all, and he got into the car. And I think he had enough. So he drove away, and we just stood there like, where's dad going? We didn't know why he was kissing us, but he had enough. And then, not even, well, I mean, we stood there, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, just baffled, like what's going on. And he drove around, and he came right back. And then he got off the car, and he hugged us all. That. And he says, I can't go anywhere, Pero his doing that made me realize how much connection family means. He ingrained that in us, that family is everything, and you don't leave family, ¿verdad? And so just having that person to teach me that made me the person I am today, ¿verdad? Through thick and thin, through obstacles, through whatever it is, I can't run away from anything. I have to stand strong, especially for my children, And yes, life has not been easy. My husband went to prison, and every month I would take the kids to go see him. because I wanted them to remember that they still had a dad. He just wasn't with us there, present, but they still had a dad. And I wanted him to see that he had children to come home to and a wife, and so maybe it wasn't the best thing to take them to prison to see their father, but that's how I felt like I needed to do for them to still have that connection.
Absolutely.
And I know that many families have gone through similar things, and, maybe my my life hasn't been as rough as somebody else's, but as long as we stand strong, as long as you stand strong and you stay focused on what you want, what do you want is what's important. What do you want? Do you want to stay with your family? Then do it. If you need that you have to go, then go. But whatever choice you make, that you have to live with that choice, and it's not nobody else's choice but yours. And so through all my journeys, through all my stuff, my husband's always been at my side. My kids have always been there. I'm very truthful to my kids. I don't try to hide anything from them, as far as what I did when I was a youngster or anything like that. It's because my experiences might help them to be better people than I was. And that's all I strive to do, is be a better mother, a better wife, a better, grandmother, a better great-grandmother every day. Because that's the only way that I can help others, is to try to be a better person each day. And thank the Creator each day, say my prayer each day in gratitude.
Delicioso. Delicioso. Well, you've just given us a wealth of wisdom and knowledge and consejos, and just, I know we could probably be talking for the rest of the evening because there's so many chapters to you.
Yeah.
But I see here we're coming to the end of our time together. So you've shared so much already, but as we get ready to close out, is there any specific advice or wisdom that you would like to leave for our audience that can help them to continue on their journey, that would be helpful for their healing, for their health, for their well-being, for their hope, for their inspiration, of anything? What has helped you that will maybe help them to remember as they go forward?
Well, what I've told many girls, many women, is that you can't let that light in you ever die. Sometimes it can go a little dim, but don't ever let it go out, and don't let anybody try to or make it go out, because this is your light, your life, and your happiness, and we always try to look for somebody else to make us happy, ¿verdad? Always try to think that, that happiness is going to come from somebody else. The only one it comes from is from you, and your journey is your journey, your path, your choice. You can't let anybody make those choices for you. As I said, we have only one life to live, and we have to live it the way we choose to live, whatever it is that we choose, whatever path it is, but do it with love, do it with patience, understanding, clarity. Find that clarity, that balance in your life to help you, because sometimes we teeter, and that balance, will help us to do the right thing. And just, love yourself. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. Always love yourself. Know that you're sacred. Know that you're powerful. Know that you're loved. If not by anybody but yourself, then that's good. As long as you love yourself, ¿verdad? And that your strength can move an ocean. It can make things happen. Even if you're 3 feet tall to 10 feet tall, you're always the strongest person around you, is you. And don't ever let anyone take anything away from you. Nobody.
Beautiful.
And just wanted to say before we do end is that I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to all the people that I've met on my path. Grateful to the children. Grateful for the adults. Grateful for the grandmas. Grateful for all those people that pulled me aside to talk to me. you know, grateful for all those phone calls and grateful for the young ladies that always come to me, you know, for ceremony and young men también, you know, but I'm grateful because it keeps me alive. It keeps me going. It gives me that purpose, you know, and I think we all need purpose for that.
Absolutely.
And finding our purpose, you know, is not easy, but we know when we got it. We know when we're there, you know, and if you're little and you know your purpose, fine. You know, sometimes it takes us a lot longer to find our purpose. And so know that, you know, you have a purpose. Everyone does. And the Mexicas knew it. They knew it from the date you were born, the day you were born, the time you were born, the year you were born, ¿verdad? Todo eso, they knew your purpose. And if we can connect with that, with our Tonalamat and find our purpose, you'll know which way to go and who you are.
Gracias, Maestra.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Such an honor to know you. Such an honor.
Yes. Well, we just want to thank you once again. And to all those that have been listening, I knew you wouldn't be disappointed. And to hear the words, from Maestra Laura Castro, I know there have been words of aliento, words of life, of encouragement, of reminding us who we are, because sometimes we forget. And so as you're out there, I encourage you, continue to look within, continue to connect inside, continue to embrace yourself. Like the maestra said, love yourself. Because if we're the only ones, we still have someone that loves us. And that's beside Creator and the ancestors. So, Maestra, once again, a heartfelt thank you for being here. And to all of those that are listening, thank you so much, because we know that you could have been doing many things today, but you chose to be with us on this podcast. So thank you very much from our heart. And this, again, is hosted by the National Comadres Network. We host a podcast once a month from the Healing Generations podcast. And we want to encourage you, if you want more information, go to the National Compadres webpage and just look up National Comadres, and you can see the things that are going on. But with that, we come to the close of today's podcast. Again, thank you. This is Maestra Deborah Camarillo coming to you from the San Francisco Bay Area, saying bendiciones. And
Susana Armijo, muchos abrazos, muchos hugs around the world. So beautiful to be able to connect with all of you. And we also have Maestra Laura. Gracias, Maestra.
yeah. And so thank you, Maestras. And we look forward to being here again in another month. Bendiciones.
Él es Dios.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.